Hey y'all, welcome to Dots and Beyond. My name is Beth. Today we are going to set up my reading journal for December 2023 and do a recap of November. It's the final setup of the year. Let's go ahead and get started. Starting off, we are going to recap my reading for November. It has pretty much been dominated by a single series. It's just the way things have gone. I came into the month reading Radical Compassion by Tara Branch. This was a book that I was reading when I was on a shuttle from where I park to where I actually work. And of course, I spent 10 days on vacation and another 7 days of the month with COVID. And that book is just stalled because it was relegated to that specific reading experience. And we'll see if I get to that before the end of the year. Not sure that I will. I also came into the month doing a reread of Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. And that book, y'all, I wrote here, upon reading Rebecca again at almost age 50, what am I to say about our young new Mrs. De Winter, for we have no proper name, other than roll my eyes at the melodrama of it all. This doesn't mean I didn't like it, on the contrary, but she goes far beyond the category of a dreamer. This is a human who lives deep in her own mind amidst every paranoia and fabrication it can put in her path. Our protagonist isn't alone. The creepy as fuck Mrs. Danvers, who's the housekeeper, also lives in an alternate reality despite her routines and her rules. At no point, despite her declaration of adulthood, does this character transition from a stupid young girl to a woman. I don't know. It's still a 4-star read for me, but I have so many different thoughts about our protagonist now than when I last read this. I was talking to my son, Kenny. It was either high school or college. It's been at least 28 years since I read this book because Kenny's 28. Before he was born. Other than that, I'm not sure where that timeline falls. So, as somebody who also lives with mental illness, I have a lot of thoughts. It's still a great classic. It is definitely worth the read. I do have a confession to make, and that is I have not done my reread of The Mask of the Red Death, which was our Pope pick for November. So I have homework for December, and that is to include Mask of the Red Death along with our December Pope pick. After Rebecca, I launched into first of all, let me back up because these are all in the wrong order. And they're messed up. Look, I got the lines in the wrong spot and I filled in cursive, and these are all wrong. I should not try to set things up or fill things in when I have COVID brain. This should not be okay. On my way to Denver, I had picked a book that was set in Denver that I thought, yeah, occasionally I can do a romance, contemporary thing. And so I picked up this book titled Rock Chick. It's a whole series, this thing. It's all set in Denver. This woman owns a bookstore. Check. She loves rock and roll. Check. She pokes her nose in where it doesn't belong. Check. These are things I should like. I made it to page 11 and I DNF'd this book. Partially because of the writing, partially because of the formatting, and I haven't checked to see if this is self-published, but there are sections where we're fully justified on either side, meaning it's a straight line down except for the beginning of your paragraphs or ends of your paragraphs. And there are sections where it's left justified, and I just couldn't handle it. Somewhere in here, there was a reference made to a specific character, and she used that character's name probably 50 times. Oh, here we are. Look, it starts. Kitty Sue, Kitty Sue, Kitty Sue, Kitty Sue, Kitty Sue, Kitty Sue. Can you use a she or a her? I mean, we are talking about the same person here. And I don't know if that was for dramatic effect. I DNF'd Rock Chick. We're not going to read this book. This was supposed to be my Denver airplane read. I started reading it at lunch, at work, the day before I left for Denver. Made it to page 11. And put it down long before I even finished lunch. Without my Denver book, I needed to grab a book to read on the plane back in April on Independent Bookstore Day, I did an independent bookstore crawl and I did a book crawl haul. And I finally picked up my first Becky Chambers. Bought this one and the second one of the Wayfarer series. And so this was my airplane book, at least going. I've picked this back up again this week, so it's going to fall into my December reads. And even 100 and some odd pages in, this might land in my 5-star reads for the year. So we'll see where A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet lands. Very much enjoy it. Very much understand now why people talk about Becky Chambers' character building. Again, I'm only, 110 pages into this, and we don't have any Kitty Sue issues like we had in Rock. It is great so far. I anticipate I'm going to love this. So we'll finish that going into December, or hopefully finish it before the end of the year. And then I jumped into a series and am almost finished with it. So we're going to talk about it. And the way that I chose to document that, because I am short on pages, is like this. This is the Ryura Chronicles. And if you've been watching all year long, then you know that there it is. What month is this? In the middle of my Jane Austen reread. So in August, back in my birthday month, I finally picked up off of my shelf, because I've had all 3 of the Ryura Revelations books for years. I mean, they were published in 2011. I've probably had them on my shelf since 2014-ish. So almost 10 years. And read all 3 of these. So Theft of Swords, Rise of Empire, and Heir of Novrin. They're big. They're tomes. They're massive. This is the Ryura Revelations. Michael J. Sullivan takes us back in the Crown Tower to the meeting of these 2 characters, who are the same 2 characters in all of these. I refer to it as one of the best fantasy buddy comedies I've ever read. Comedy is a strong word, but there is enough humor in it that I think it falls in that category. I just love the characters of Royce and Hadrian. Crown Tower is where they meet. These were published after the original. So part of what has been difficult in these is being introduced to characters that you know what happens to them later on. And sometimes that's not good things. And so you're already attached to these characters and now you're meeting them for the first time. It's just can be heart-wrenching. But Crown Tower, Rose and the Thorn, Death of Dolgoth. I'm currently reading The Disappearance of Winter's Daughter, and that will wrap up this series. Right now I'm reading the entire series of 4-star, but that's probably just because A, I really love Michael J. Sullivan's writing and his fantasy world, and B, I love his characters of Royce and Hadrian. Now I've done a thing. These I have been listening to on audio, because I don't have these physical books like I did the other ones. And I've been listening to the dramatized version, which means it's a full cast plus a narrator. So I'm not listening to it at any kind of speed, because then you miss the acting of the full cast. And while I was looking at these a week or 2 ago, it suddenly realized that Audible was having a massive sale, as just about everyone does in and around Black Friday. And I have been planning to pick up the Age of Myth series, which was published even after this one and goes even farther back, before Royce and Hadrian were born. We go centuries back in Age of Myth. And I have purchased most of those on Audible, and we're just going to keep going. I might try to take a break, but I'm really sucked into this world. I really like it. And we'll see where we go from there. There's a lot of Age of Myth books. I did not buy them all, but I think I got the first 4 or 5. So we're ready to go. We're ready to that's probably going to be my audio choice for a hot minute, unless I really need to take a break, which is very possible because one of the books that I have on hold, probably from August. So I finished Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson in June, and I immediately jumped into Way of Kings, and I just kept getting confused. And then I put it on hold, so I just left it. So 2 of the books that I haven't finished this year that I started are Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson and Encyclopedia of Fairies. I'm going to try to finish Encyclopedia of Fairies before the end of the year. Emily Fox, I think, refers to it as her pile of shame. The books that she just puts down and forgets about. She doesn't DNF them. She just forgets about it. That's where I'm at. But this is how I decided to document it. I didn't put any thoughts in here. My thoughts are the same about Michael J. Sullivan's writing. My thoughts are the same about these characters. These are much shorter books than the other three. I did put in some favorite quotes and just put 1, 2, or 3 next to which book they came out of so that I could keep track. And I've started adding publishing dates. So one of the things that I had not been doing, I always put the title, who wrote it, my rating, the pages, genre, and the format, but I wasn't putting publishing dates in. And I've stuck those in here this month to remind myself to start sticking them in January when I get to my January reading journal, which is now set up. And I just need to edit it. So y'all are going to have to wait for that one. We are ready to set up for December. I did start drawing this line on this page. And so we have a little thin piece of sticker paper that's an offcut from many of the other things where I have used printables that is now around this. And we are going to go ahead and set up for December. So while I'm setting this up, because we cannot talk about Mask of the Red Death, or you can, if you have read it, sound off in the comments below. Let us know what you thought of Edgar Allan Poe's Mask of the Red Death. If you were reading it with us being a loose term since I haven't read it yet. It's the first one I've missed, y'all. It's the first one I've missed in my timeline. Was it your first time reading Edgar Allan Poe's The Mask of the Red Death? Or had you read it before? Do you feel any different about it one way or the other? Did you enjoy it more before when you read it or now when you read it? Or are you indifferent? I thought I could just fake it because I've read it before. I do know that it takes place in Venice and Carnival and all of those things. And I thought, Beth, don't fake it. And be honest. There's just been a lot going on, y'all. I thought when I was sick, maybe I would read some more. I didn't. I just wanted to sit and be sick. And my voice is still not back to normal. I still have a big jug of water to my left along with my tea here on my right. And this is Sleepy Time tea. It's just one of my favorites. But it is December, and it is the season of gift giving. Do you have any specific books on your wish list that you might like to receive in this season of gift giving? Or have you purchased books for anyone else in this season of gift giving? Let me know what books you're eyeballing one way or the other down in the comments. I have put Live Ship Traders, which is the second series, and Robin Hobb's Realm of the Elderlings series on my Christmas list because I'm going down the Robin Hobb rabbit hole and I do not have those. And of course I asked for the British covers because the American covers are shite. No, that's not always the case. We're funny, aren't we? And we go back and forth on who's got the best cover. I think the Brandon Sanderson books have better British covers too. The American ones are terrible. I just haven't started being like, I'm going to order off of Amazon UK and pay for the shipping and those sorts of things yet. But dang, I really want those different covers. I think that is the one book series that I put on my gift wish list because I had a specific purpose for it. I typically put some sort of coffee table book on there, and I didn't do that this time. Maybe I'll get one anyway. My boys know. If you saw my post on the community tab on Monday, then you already know what our final Edgar Allan Poe selection is. And could it be anything other than The Ravens? This is not on sticker paper. I'm going to have to use my glue tape. And that is because it is one of the first long poems I remember reading. Longer poems that I remember reading. It was published in January of 1845. Scholars believe that he wrote it in the preceding December, so it's very much a winter poem as he ponders, weak and weary in the dark and dreary. That's summarizing. I am writing over that little piece of sticker paper It has 1,177 words, and I need to put in my little stars for our star rating. I know I'm going to rate it 5 stars. That's not even a question. And I thought about just doing a read along of the poem instead of me talking here on this video. I thought about just filming this and setting it up and then doing a voiceover like I do my bullet journal setups. But my voice is still not 100%. I'm still very much a low alto right now after the illness of the thing that begins with C and ends with id that YouTube doesn't like us to talk about still. At this point, it's like the flu or the cold. It's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. Boy, did I mess that up. Let me grab a white gel pen. It's not as bad as I thought. That side's correct. This side's wrong. And I forgot what I was saying about the raven and anything else, I guess I was trying to talk about. Oh, I was talking about the thing that begins with C and ends with id. This was our first bout with it, and it could have been worse. I'm super grateful for vaccines and boosters and all of those things. Because, well, we didn't feel great for certain. I know a lot of people have said that, oh, it's just like a really bad cold. I think it was a little worse than that. Yeah, so both my boys are here with me right now, and we all fell. Boom, boom, boom. The youngest first, he's 23, and then me, and then Kenny, who many of you know or have heard much about because I do his custom bullet journal every month. If you want to hear his voice, back in June of last year, he did a flip through of his journal from January to June until we started filming them all on a monthly basis. All right. I am reading a long way to a small angry planet. I did begin that way back on November, but we're going to work on finishing it. And then I am reading on audio, The Disappearance of Winter's Daughter. I began that on basically the day that I finished Death of Dolgoth. So I began that on December 3rd. Just rolled right from one into the other. And we are gonna highlight every other line. I have switched from my Tombow N89 basically because it's died into this Ohuhu 107, which is almost the same color of light gray. It is a warmer gray than the Tombow N95, which is a very cool light gray. It does have a little bit of a green tinge to it, but it still gets the job done. And I've used it in a couple of videos now. I'm in one of those phases where I don't want to buy a lot of things. I just don't. I just want to use what I have to do what I need to do and not buy a whole lot more stuff. Okay, so there we are. We are ready for December with the Raven, and I've put in what I'm currently reading or working on. I will stick on my December tab later because I have misplaced. Oh, wait, no, let's see then. Hang on. Ta-da! December tab. There we go. Go ahead and stick on December. And I have been updating my index. I am expanding my index in 2024 to give me more room. So here you see the M's got a little tight. I also have a read along like we did with Poe. And I've come up with a system to not put that read along on my index like I did the Poe. Here's Murders in the Rue Morgue and Black Cat. We're going to keep track of our read along somewhere else. All right. My goals. I only need to read 3 books in December, and I will hit my goal. And then my Read 365, we are still on track. It was difficult while I was in Denver, y'all, even to get in 5 minutes of reading. It was difficult, but I managed to do it. I finished 2 memoirs. Yes, I know how to spell memoir. I've just never fixed that. And then I have finished 3 series, but I also started them. Didn't finish any of the series I needed to finish or that I came into 2023. I should have been more specific there. And then we'll check off our Poe picks, and I will probably hit this goal as well. My backlist, I am terrible at this, so if it's filled in with red, these are physical TBR books that are on my bookshelves. These are nowhere near all of my unread books on my bookshelves. The goal is to put them in here. You will see some of these book covers again in my 2024 setup, along with some new ones. This is my Fomo list. I'm changing this in 2024 to just a recommended list or recommendations. Here are our Poe picks, and we need to write in The Raven. We've made it all the way to December. Just to recap, if you ever want to go back and check out the rest of these videos, Black Cat, The Telltale Heart, The Cask of Amontillado, The Man of the Crowd, The Facts in the Case of M. Valdemar, MS or Message Found in a Bottle, Murders in the Rue Morgue, Pit and the Pendulum, The Purloined Letter, The Fall of the House of Usher, The Mask of the Red Death, and The Raven. And any of those videos have links to both where you can read the book for free online or where you can listen to the story, or most of them are short stories. Listen to the short stories online for free because all of Poe's is open source. My book haul, I know I've missed some along in here. A lot of the audio ones I've not gotten listed down on here, but there it is. Book of the month, I ended up picking up What the River Knows for November, and my December order is Tomb Sweeping, which is a collection of short stories. Very much looking forward to that. I do love a short story collection. It is of my opinion that the short story is the most difficult to craft and therefore takes great skill to do them and do them well. My series tracker, those with a check mark are the ones that I completed. So, Ryura Revelations, Shades of Magic, Fractured Fables. I will also finish Ryura Chronicles, and I can fill in 3 of those. This is not a dark enough. We'll go over it a couple times. We'll make it look dark for that one. DNF's is still the Bridgerton series, tapped out after book 2, and then I've added Rock Chick. Faves. I have added What Moves the Dead to my faves. I have added If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio to my faves, and that only leaves me 2 more spots to fill in before I have to start narrowing these down to my favorite book. And I do not do a fave for each month. There's only 8 spots there because sometimes we have really bad reading months, and like October was a great reading month for me. I loved just about everything I read in October. So why would I discount adding one of those to my faves if I could only pick 1 per month? And then maybe in May, you have a terrible reading month and you don't like anything you read. Why would you want to pick one of them? So I don't do this by month. And then there's January. And that is it. Now, one of the other things I have not done yet, and that is for my Ryura Chronicles, these 3, I need to add them to my first lines. My first lines live back here. And as you can see, we don't have that many pages. I need to turn a page and add those here. But because I don't have that physical book, I got to go back and check the beginning of the audiobook and write those down because I forgot to write those down because I was just going through them so quickly. And add those first lines here before I can add any other first lines. I will get those added in here, and we can see those when I do my 2023 wrap-up and flip-through of my reading journal. My entire reading journal was inspired by this journal, although I do love a traveler's size, which is from Archer and Olive. Has the crow or the raven on the front of it. Obviously, it screamed to me, we must do an Edgar Allan Poe theme for 2023, and it has been a ride indeed, going back and revisiting some of those Poe stories. If you like this video, you know what to do. Give me a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you in the next one.